Blessed rising. Just waiting for my guest to join. Hope you're all well. Feeling irie. On this blessed day, give thanks for life. Let me get more in focus. Wait for the lovely lady to join. Happy new month, by the way. While we're settling in, don't mind me, just getting my comforts. Happy new month. I hope it's a prosperous one to you all. Speaking about safe spaces today, Jeanette is out of the UK and has been for some time. So, speaking about the inspiration behind her retreats, Black Women Retreats. I know a lot of you will be watching back after this live. So, feel free to comment below and also jump in her DMs or comment on her posts to find out more information. It won't be the last that we'll be checking in together. What, V? You alright, hon? You still working out during this time? That virtual Ezra. Yes, yes, blessed rising, blessed rising. How are you and the fam? Thank you for tuning in. Creative Jill, how are you, my love? It's been a long, long time. Right, let's go. Ooh. Go live with High Priestess GC. What, Sheed?
Good morning, good morning.
Blessed rising, my love. How you doing?
Welcome, good morning. I'm here, my dear. How are you doing?
I'm blessed, thank you. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for
Definitely.
life, indeed. What world, as you would say.
That's right. One word.
What world, man. What world. Give thanks for health, strength, you know, and
Definitely.
creativity. So it's nice and early on this Tuesday, the 2nd of February. I was just saying, you know, happy new month. So I'm extending it to you and yours as well. Happy new month. I hope it's a prosperous one.
And the same to you and yours as well, and to everybody else. You know, we've all gone through a roller coaster the last 12 months. So let the goodness come, you know, to all of us.
Come on.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Let all of us win. Let all of us win, yeah?
That's right. That's right. Abundance, abundance. We were speaking the other day. I'm just jumping straight into it. Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
The other day about being so particular about our tribe, you know, and the company that we keep. She said, pop, 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 pop. Yeah. At this point in our lives, you know, if it doesn't work for us, then what's the point? Basically, you know, life is too precious, time is too precious. We are too precious and priceless. So definitely big up everybody in the world. But our tribe is our tribe. And I think we know at this point in our life, who is for us will naturally align to, and the rest just do your thing over there.
A number of things that I just want to add to that. So during the confinement for me, 2020, I was about to say 2010, but a decade later, Jeanette, 2020 was the year of black. So many people got blocked last year and got unfriended because they say that you are the sum total of the 6 people that you spend the most amount of time with. That's what the saying is. So you are the 6 people that you spend the most time with. You are a reflection of them. They are a reflection of you. So if the energy is not coming in the right way, if the understanding isn't there, if the overstanding isn't there, if the love, if the respect, if everything isn't aligned, then what's the point? It's that simple. What's the point? And so I remember somebody saying to me years ago, I was on a date, and this woman, she said, some people, like, every relationship is like a meal.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, because at the time I was so devastated by the loss of the friendships, so devastated by it, so hurt. Like, sometimes you lose a friend and you can't understand, and you think it was going to be a friendship for life, like anything, you know. And it hurts sometimes when, you know, when those friendships don't kind of, they serve their purpose, but we sometimes have false expectations or unrealistic expectations, let's say that. So that person said to me, she said to me, you know, some relationships are like the starter. They're just there to appetize you, but you could do without it. Some relationships are like a main course. You can't do without the main course. You need the main course, you know. And then she said some relationships are like the sweetness, the dessert. Again, you could do without the dessert. So there are different types of friendships.
Oh, I forgot about that part. I was like, yeah. Rub on the belly. Some relationships are like dessert, and then you went like, and I was like, oh, okay, no.
But you can do without the dessert. You might need the dessert some days, but not every day. But every day you need that main course. So there are different types of friendships, different types of relationships, and everything has a natural cycle as well, and a growth. And a friendship and a relationship that might have been tight 5 years ago, over time, if you're like any relationship, you're with a partner, whatever, you know, people say that they grow apart. They acknowledge that. We acknowledge that in intimate, personal relationships. We don't acknowledge it in can't think of the term that we use for friendships, platonic relationships. We don't acknowledge that we can grow apart. If you're thinking about developing, you know, a program or doing great things for the world, and your peers aren't kind of aligned with what you're about, then naturally you're not going to want to spend a lot of time with those people. It's a topic that's very, very dear to my heart. Let me tell you why. Because I'm in Gran Canaria. I live in Gran Canaria. I've lived in Mexico. I've lived in Colombia. I've lived in Dubai. I'm from Birmingham. I've lived on this island, Gran Canaria, before. Like, I lived here 20 years ago. I'm an old woman. I'm tired.
No, she's not. Don't believe it. She's an elder head. She's got a wise head on her. Anyway. Yeah.
I was about to say, I've spent my time here on my own, and I've spent my time here on my own kind of consciously, because again, if the energy's not coming to me right, if the people aren't coming to me right, if I've got people in my life who are up here and I can call them from wherever I am in the world, and I can say, yo, I need this, or yo, I'm low, I'm down, or whatever, send me a virtual hug or whatever. Or here's one of my posts on the Facebook pages that we share. Can you please share it? Or I don't have to ask them to share it. They've got my back. Then why would I look for anything less than that?
Yeah, I hear that. At this point, we know quality. I love that. Well, right then, on the topic of that, quality over quantity, right? And knowing, knowing where to position yourself when it comes to, you know, valid company, and just not needing to be validated by those who are just not in alignment with you.
They don't serve a purpose in their life.
Okay, let's speak a little bit about your background then, because you're in Gran Canaria. Rona 187 says she liked Gran Canaria. So we have a retreat coming up later on this year, but let's speak a little bit more about your background in terms of your health, your fitness, your vision behind why you feel it necessary to have created this safe space in Gran Canaria, and particularly as a melanated woman.
Okay, so my background is I'm one of 4, born and bred in Birmingham. You might be able to tell by my accent. From Kings Norton, big up Kings Norton, South Birmingham. I lived in a predominantly white neighbourhood. Means something and doesn't mean anything. For the last 20 years, I've been travelling the world. But let me tell you this, I left school with no real qualification. So I left school with a GCSE D in English and a D in home economics. Those were the two highest grades that I left school with, which are really, really important in terms of putting everything into context. A fighter.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Don't tell me no. Don't like that word. It's hard when you see your peers doing things that you might do later on, but nothing before its time, as the saying goes as well, you know?
Right.
So I did my GCSE. I didn't do GCSEs initially, so I did an access course at Faircroft College, if anybody knows about Faircroft College.
Yeah,
I did that as a residential. You know where it is, you know what I'm talking about? So that's how unconventional everything has been. So I did my access course at Faircroft College. After my access course, I went to university in Leicester. I didn't make it in Leicester. I transferred to Birmingham. I didn't make it in Birmingham at Birmingham University. I got kicked off the course, and I'm proud to say all as well.
Yeah. Because look at where you are today. Yep, give thanks for the journey. When you're in it, you know, and you're thinking, Lord, why is my life like this? But it's only when you grow past it, you realize, them people there weren't for me. That setting there wasn't for me. What was I doing? But anyway, continue.
Let me come back to that in a moment as well, because why it's so important. I'm just going to say it now. It's just why it's so important that we document our journeys. And I know as a person who's done things that are very unconventional for the average Black person from Birmingham, from my background, it's very unconventional. So it's important that we leave a footprint, a fingerprint. It's important that we leave a line to say we were here, we've been doing this trailblazing, and we're not the only ones here. And it's so important. And I'm going to get onto that maybe in a little while. So then later on, I was like, I'm doing the same thing again. I'm doing the same thing again. I did, like, in terms of jobs, work, the options that were available to me. So I said, let me try this university thing again, after having said never again would I go back. So I was at what was classed as one of the best universities in the UK, Birmingham University, Birmingham University, the real Birmingham University, sorry, but the real one in Celio. So I was there doing race and ethnicity a million years ago. I didn't
even know that was a degree, actually, race and ethnicity.
It was, it was a new degree when I did it. So it was like in its first year, and it was a mess, but I was on it, and I would have gotten my degree from the real Birmingham University. They kicked me off the course because I was lazy. I'm not an academic. I'm smart, intelligent. I'm an intellectual, but I'm not an academic, and I don't enjoy reading, and I don't enjoy studying. And I like learning, but don't tell me about read that chapter. But I love life, and I love learning, and I love knowledge, and I love information, and I've got so much data like a machine in here. But I'm not a great student. So 100%. From one of the best universities in the country, because at the time Birmingham, and it still is, I think, Birmingham University, the real Birmingham University in Celio, was classed as one of the top 10 unis. I have to say it because it's the truth. They're different.
All right, then.
Allow me to tell her. Truth me at all.
I don't know. I'm coming like you. I don't know.
Well, it's the truth. It's like saying you're going to Harvard, or it's like saying you're going to, you know, you have to laugh. It's like saying you're going to, what's the universities in London, the two big ones, the two really big universities?
Oxford and London?
Oxford and Cambridge. It's like saying, it's like saying you're going to Cambridge, but the other Cambridge round the corner.
I'm trying to think of another name, but I hear you.
There is, you know, so I'm saying this. You want to say you went to Cambridge University, not the Cambridge College, but the university. So I went. So I was at one of the top 10 universities. Got kicked out. I have no problem in saying that. Now where I am, I have no problem in saying that. Maybe at the time I was hurt. That's life. And then I went from one of the top 10 universities. Later on, I was like, let me try this university thing again. So I went to Wolverhampton University. Now, at the time, Wolverhampton University was like, out of the top 100 universities in the UK, Wolverhampton was 99.
Wow.
One of the worst.
I went to Wolverhampton University as well.
but it was classed back when I did it, my degree, 2002 to 2006, it was classed as like 99 out of the top 100 universities in the UK. But you know what? Position, title, number doesn't matter, because you know what? I got my degree from there.
Yeah.
And that was a hard experience, because I was working part-time at TeleWest back in the day.
Wow. TeleWest. Wow.
TeleWest School Centre.
Jeez.
So I was working. I'm dropping all the old school names.
Yeah.
So yeah, we moved to town, and I was working part-time. I was a team manager at the time, is how I ended there. I was a team manager working part-time there and doing my degree. So commuting, driving from West Heath to Wolverhampton, and sometimes to the Telford campus, because I did business studies in Spanish. So that was a trek. That was an hour drive there and an hour drive back from the Telford campus. But I got my degree. And I got my degree in Spanish with business studies with French is basically the breakdown of it all. And so whether we go to the number 1 university, whether we go to the number 99 university, the point is that we've got our degree.
That's
and
right.
It's not about a degree. Yes. It's about finishing the job, finishing the journey, and doing something for yourself and saying that you've done it. The number and position of it doesn't matter, because you know people come from some of the best universities with Mickey Mouse degrees and some of the worst universities, and you know, or no university at all. So it doesn't really matter what position the university sits at in terms of league tables. Yes, we want to be educated by qualified people. We want to be educated by the best people who know their area, who, you know, inspire us and all the rest of it. But we want to get the job done, and we want to get in there and get out as quickly as possible. So at that university, I did my year abroad, 2004 to 2005, did my year abroad at the university. When I was at the University of Wolverhampton, I went to the University of Malaga in Spain. So I did a year abroad there. And again, as a black person from Birmingham, how many people do you know that have done a year abroad on the Erasmus program?
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, we got to get into it.
The Erasmus program is part of the fact that UK has now left the EU. British people aren't allowed to participate in the Erasmus program anymore, which is such a shame. People didn't take it up in regards to the number of people that made the most of that program. It wasn't enough, in my opinion, because I met so many people from Spain or from Italy or from France fighting for those positions on the Erasmus program. And from the UK, I was the only person from my university who went to that university. So it's like this. In the UK, people, we don't value what we have. And I'm sure that people are realising that now with Brexit, because it's like, shit, we had this and we had this and we could do this and we could do that, and now we can't. And sometimes in life you have to have things taken away from you to acknowledge what they are and the benefit of them. So yes, Wolverhampton University, yes. So let me just add this point as well. I'm talking a lot, so just tell me how much I've got and how much we've time and whatever, where we are. Let me just say this. University of Wolverhampton, I was supposed to spend half of my year at the University of Malaga in Spain and half of my year at the university in Cuba, in Havana. And it was all lined up, and I was the only person from my university who was going to go to Cuba. I'd already met my roommate. I'd already been to see her in Manchester. She lived in Manchester, or Nottingham, I think, actually. And we'd arranged to, rent a room together because it was expensive. I've met a mum, and we're going to go ahead and everything. When I got to Spain, and so sometimes in life we've got the carrot dangling in front of us, and the carrot to me was Cuba. I'm like, I've always wanted to go to Cuba. Cuba's got so much history, it's so rich, it's so far, it's the Caribbean, it's that. And that was the carrot that like led me through my first year. And my second year, like, I need to go to, I'm going to Cuba, I'm going to Cuba, the third year, I'm going to Cuba. I got to Spain, didn't have any expectations about Spain. I really enjoyed it. I was able to receive my European funding for my education in Spain. Whilst I was in Spain, I decided I'm not going to Cuba, I'm going to stay here. Because
wow! What sweet you so much when you was in Spain?
This wasn't anybody else. This was acknowledging that when you've got a good thing, don't go looking for something else.
Wow! Just the whole environment, food, just vibes, feelings.
I had no expectations about Spain. And the fact that I was able to get my student loan, I was able to get student funding, I was able to get the education free because it was part of the European program. So there was like very little out of pocket for me.
Okay.
My
Okay.
mum came and
Yes.
joined me while I was on my year abroad in in Spain, and we travelled down to Morocco. Uh, it was just easier being closer to the UK, and I just like, why am I going to go and look for something else when I'm quite content here and having a good time here?
Yeah.
Why am I going to, do things out of pocket? But I did go to Cuba later on because I was like, I should have gone there during my year abroad. But the point is that you have to acknowledge what you've got rather than
Mm-hmm.
looking for something else. And I called
Mm-hmm.
the university up and I said, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to Cuba anymore. Can you let them know?
Wow. And they was
And
like, what?
yeah, because it was like an agreement between the universities and all the fun and everything. But I'm doing what's right for me.
Well, yeah,
Um,
life learning, truly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not always, not easy, not always easy decisions, but I'm doing what's right for me and I'm making the call whenever I can. But it's not all the time that's that easy. But
Mm-hmm.
I will.
In reflection, it is Comfort by Coco. Here's you want that one. She's like, yes, 100%. Wow. So then we fast forward, like you say, you've spent some time in Gran Canaria, what, 20 years ago? And then you're back
1999, when the
90.
world was going to end. When the world was going to end, do you remember?
We thought
Millennium.
like we was traveling in spaceships come millennium. Yeah, yeah, and the world was gonna lock down and everything. Yeah, yeah. We thought we was gonna be doing so much like spacemen and space women in the millennium if we made it. And then we woke
Yeah,
up in the year 2000 and was like, oh, still there.
we're still
Oh.
here.
Okay, still have to walk with my 2 foot then. Oh, okay, nothing really special. Things going on in the background, but yeah, give thanks for life. And then you fast forward to 2020 and you're in Gran Canaria again. And now you find yourself in a space where, like we said, after so much reflection of life learning, life traveling, life experience. Morning, YL Philip, the author. Thanks for joining. We're speaking about current day now and, what you're getting yourself into and how you're sharing that life experience and how you're sharing your heart as well. It sounds like, and embracing those who you want to get in alignment with. So we're speaking about the retreat that you've got coming up in your now hometown, Gran Canaria. Tell us more about that, when it's happening, what's going to be going on, and how people get involved. I said in the status about us getting together, COVID who, because I feel like, yeah, you do have to keep one eye on COVID and, in terms of what they're going on with all the inequity, but at the same time, you have to just carry on forward and think positively when it comes to being able to interact and travel within the world. So we can't sit here thinking, well, they said I need this and they said I need that if it's for me to go abroad, or I can't travel because of COVID and rare tear. Manifest first, put yourself to it and say, this is what I'm going to do. And all them blockages will just clear because you're declaring it so. So we're moving forward in grace that the Gran Canaria retreat is happening. So how do we get involved with it?
So I'm going to come to a couple of things there. But High Priestess Gran Canaria, so that's spelled Hi Priestess, which is Priestessgc. So that's how you find us on Instagram and also the web page. So it's www.highpriestessgc.com.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you will find us, also on Facebook and YouTube as well.
Thank you.
High Priestess was brought about by me being a Black, queer, plus size yoga teacher. How many boxes do you want to tick there? How many boxes do you want to say that I don't fit into? So whilst I was living in Dubai, I worked in Dubai for a couple of years. I did my yoga teacher training course, my 200-hour yoga teacher training course. And I also did my swing yoga teacher training course as well with Yoga Alliance, both schools there.
Swing yoga.
Swing yoga, yes.
That's new to me. All right then.
Very, very good for the body. Very, very, if you can't support yourself on the floor, it's an extremely brilliant way of practicing yoga. And it allows, like, I'm big and I'm heavy. So things that, when we do asanas on the hands, hand balances and things like that, it's great to do with the support of the swing. and it also extends and stretches out the bones in a way that it's difficult to do when you're on the ground when everything's compressed. So
Yeah.
it elongates everything
Brilliant.
with the swing.
That's beautiful, that
So
is. I think I saw some videos of it. Thank you.
yeah,
All right, then that's
yeah, I
blessed.
thoroughly recommend it. I thoroughly recommend swing yoga. You're pregnant, so it might not be a thing for you at the moment in time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's great for supporting the body. If for bigger bodies, for people who are suffering from injury, swing yoga, yes, definitely. So again, being the only black woman, no, I wasn't the only black woman on my course. Let me take that back. But being the only plus size teacher, being the only queer teacher on my yoga course when I did it in Dubai, we travelled, I commuted to Abu Dhabi, but it's the same thing, it's the Middle East. And I've been practicing at that time, I did it in 2015. I've been practicing yoga on and off for 20 years. And I said, Jeanette, man, come on. You can't keep on doing something and be a beginner every time you do the same thing over and over again. Over and over. Come on, Jeanette. Take yourself seriously, take the thing seriously, deepen your knowledge, deepen your connection, deepen yourself. You can't be a beginner for 20 years.
That's right. Let's master these things. 100% agree with that.
So I did the yoga course, the yoga teacher training course, and it was intense because I was working full time as a teacher at an international school in Dubai, and every weekend I would commute to Abu Dhabi, and we would spend our Saturday and Sunday working on the course, physically moving and mentally moving the head, which was intense for a period of 6 months.
Yes.
But one of the best things that I've ever done, rather than doing like these month courses and what, by the time you've done it, you've forgotten everything.
I don't think it's possible, I don't know how people manage to squeeze it in. Even me with my training, it was for 12 months, and that was a weekend every month, and extra practicing, and like they say, at least an hour a day. No matter how intense they want to say it is for a month, it's not possible. I really don't think it is, especially if you're completely switching your mindset, and it's a lot to get into, not just the physical, but the mental space as well. But anyway, people's time, whatever. But yeah, 6 months, 12 months is great to really indulge yourself into it, and really, like we say, craft what you're getting into, and apply it to life.
Yes, definitely. So I was able to teach lessons in Dubai, working yoga studios in Dubai after I did my qualification, and just kind of really hone my skill. And then I went to Colombia to live in Colombia. My intention was to set up a business. Initially, it was to set up a yoga retreat for the queer community. So it's about a safe space, always about a safe space. That's a reflection of myself. Because the more you travel, the more you do things, the more places you go to, you realise that there's just, the more advanced you are, and I don't want to be egotistical when I say this, but how many black people from Birmingham do you know who are like me, who have travelled around the world for the last 20 years, who did a degree after having stumbled so many times, who, there are very few people. It's people who are doing it now, but now I'm tired because I've been doing it for the last 20 years. So I'm a bit of a maverick in that sense, which is why it's so important to tell our stories, so important to document the journey, so important to talk about it. So it's always about creating these safe spaces. As a person who's black of Caribbean descent, being queer and of Caribbean descent, they don't go together. So we need these safe spaces. So I created High Priestess Gran Canaria on the back of that. But not just for me as a black queer woman, as a black queer plus size yoga teacher, as a black queer British woman, because that's also a real big issue for me, because the narrative that we see of black, of love, of this, of that, is American. We don't see enough of it from a British perspective. There aren't enough people out there, in terms of plus size. It's just starting to happen now, in terms of black and queer, in terms of black and traveling and not following the conventional paths and being a bit of a maverick and doing different things, but also talking about it. And I'll say talking about mental health as well.
Yes.
So I talked about my mental health journey on my own podcast. I've got a podcast which is called The Colombian Catwoman.
Say that a bit slower. The who?
The Colombian Catwoman.
The Colombian Catwoman. Right. So that is a guise that you had from your time in Colombia, because I wanted to ask how your time in Colombia was actually.
We could talk about
Yes.
that another time, maybe. But there's a podcast that I
Yeah, because I
created.
did say this is not the last time actually that we're going to speak. This is just a nice check-in to let people know Wagwan. So I'm going to put it in the comments actually. The Colombian Catwoman.
Yep. So it's on Anchor, but it's available on all podcast platforms, on all the big podcast platforms. And so I've talked about my mental health journey there. There's still more to talk about, but I'm not afraid, again, within the Black community. So mental health, queer, problems, poverty, we don't talk about those things. But fucking hell, we're all suffering, man. There's so much going on within the community. If you don't know a Black person that's gone mad, that the system's mad at them. That they've been failed by the system, that they're not where they're supposed to be, that they're a bit of a genius.
Oh gosh, let it go, let it go.
Am I talking rubbish? Am I talking gibberish?
No, you're not talking rubbish. I'm laughing in appreciation of the freeness. Do you know what I mean? Like, free up, man. You know what I mean? Welcome to you. Everybody's got ups, downs, highs, lows. No, it's true, and I'm an advocate for not just speaking about the rainbows and chocolate truffles and fairy lights. We have to speak about it all,
Yeah.
because that is just real life. Not wallow in anything, but speak about it all and keep it real. So yeah, that's another reason why we've come together today as well, because our energies are similar in terms of freeing up and just keeping it real. Yeah.
We are not the first, we are not the last, we are not the only ones.
That's
and
right.
Society wants to make us feel like we're the only ones, we're the first ones, we're the last ones. And so when you do things, it's like it makes it a lonely journey, but we're not. And it's when we talk about mental health, the amount of Black people that we know that have suffered and had dips, and we don't have the support in place because of our mechanisms, because of our history, because of our culture. Because, for example, I live in Gran Canaria on my own. My parents are deceased. I don't have a partner. I don't choose to have friends here or many friends here because I know who and what is good for me.
That's
so
right.
You can imagine when the shit starts to fall, when we have problems, the support network just isn't there. We just drop. We just drop. Not a little drop, but it's
yes. Yeah.
So, there's no mum to turn to anymore. There's no dad. There's no sister. I don't have any sisters. I've just got brothers. So it's hard when things happen to us. It's extremely hard when things happen to us. And those support networks and systems aren't in place. And so I know, having set up little business ventures before,
yes,
and they've not been particularly successful. However, I've done things and I've learned from them. And so I took my inheritance and went to Colombia and set up created a clothing line in honor of my deceased mother. That was called La Gran Angela. So I did that from scratch in a country like Colombia on the Caribbean coast. I mean, I couldn't have made it any more difficult for myself. But the point is, I didn't with a backer, with anybody else, with the support of I went to another country with my language skills to the Caribbean coast and did shit on my own and created a business from scratch. Yeah. So I know what it takes, and I know it's hard, but I know that we need community, because the more we try to do things on our own, the harder it is. And that's what I've learned. So as much as I'm an independent Black woman, as much as I'm tough, I'm hard, I'm this, I'm that, it's tiring.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I do have to give props to us in the community who are speaking so much more about mental health. We say
about
everything. About everything. Yeah. Let me not pay justice to what you've said, but yeah, about everything. But in particular, the Black woman superwoman cape that sometimes we have to just let off. And again, that is about being honest about where you feel secure to do that. Not business in what people say, and allowing yourself to not feel that judgment from others, but non-judgmental space is being available. And that's what I rate about what you're doing. We're bringing forth in the near future all of this energy, what you've attained from yourself, and looking at other cultures as well, and now sharing, knowing that life is life, like you say, shit happens, and we have to embrace good, bad, and ugly, so to speak. So let's go deeper into what is to come, the fruits of Gran Canaria that you're sharing as a space with us. In summer and early September. Let me not get it wrong. What's your dates?
Let me just tell you that community is key. So being around like-minded people is key. As I said, we are the sum of the 6 people that we spend our time with.
Right.
So as a woman who's creating digital media content, you probably need more people around you who are in the same sphere to support you, to guide you, to help you, to give you tips, etc., etc. We all need those things in whatever it is that we're into.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, High Priestess Gran Canaria, we're doing it from the Black African perspective, the Black Caribbean perspective, the Black British perspective, the Black queer perspective, all of those intersectionalities which are important because they make up who I am, what I'm interested in, and I can't be the only one.
That's right. That's right.
Yoga and capoeira. Where do you find a yoga retreat that's yoga and capoeira? Do you know what capoeira is?
Capoeira, from my understanding, well, from my understanding, is it a mix of yoga and dance and martial arts? So body strengthening, free-flowing movements. Tell me more.
Martial arts is what it is. It's an African form of martial arts. Mm-hmm. So there are different schools. So you'll find Angola will say it kind of came before slavery, and then you'll also find in Brazil they'll say it came from slavery. So it was a form of martial arts. So it's a whole body movement, and it also encompasses singing, and it also encompasses drum work as well. So to find a female teacher to teach capoeira was so difficult. And we have Natalie, who's a lover of capoeira. She's a white woman. I know business, because if you're in line with what I'm about, with what we're trying to do here, that's what it comes down to. If you know about Brazilian culture and Angolan culture and capoeira, which is such a great all-body workout. So martial arts, where you're moving on the floor and you're doing cartwheels and doing high kicks. And so that's what you're thinking about, protecting yourself, martial arts movement. So it's not just like a karate kick. It's not that type of martial arts, but it's martial arts and movement. Yeah. And so you'd be partnering, dancing, fighting with somebody. That's capoeira. And so, as I've just said, there are different schools. There's a Brazilian school and the Angolan school of capoeira. And so she plays instruments, she does the singing, and she does the martial arts as well. I'm like, to find a fucking capoeira teacher who's female was so difficult, and she's got the whole shebang.
Wow.
That's one of the retreats. For Black women alone, and again, I reiterate the point and emphasize the point that we need to build community. When we try to do things, we fail because we're doing them on our own. Let me tell you that, because as I've said, the support isn't there. We can't call up our uncle who's got a business like other communities can, and call up our granddad or get the deposit from our uncle or from our cousin or from our this. We don't have that support network in place. That's my experience and my understanding of where we're at in the world. In America, they've got access to credit, at least. Whether they've got the support or not, they've got access to credit, which makes things a little bit more accessible. But we don't have that in Europe. We neither have access to credit nor the support network in place. So we're just like...
We have to hold on to them groups that are all for our businesses, and organisations. I think now more than ever, we're definitely seeking out Black-owned businesses more, and whether it be small purchases or large purchases, I hear you with that.
Black-owned businesses, and also anywhere that's really supporting us, really, not tokenistically, but really supporting who we are and what we're about. So yoga and capoeira, for the Black woman, let me just go back to that, for the Black woman who wants to get into business, who wants to get into digital media is where it's at. If you're not in the digital media sphere, how are people going to know about what you're doing in an oversaturated market where there's so much information from so many different places? So Chantel, who is our digital media specialist, she does radio, she does digital. So we've also got retreats in July, one in October, one in November. That's exclusively for Black women. So that's yoga and digital marketing. So practice yoga in the morning, then we do digital marketing workshops, and all the formats are the same in terms of all of the retreats. And then in the afternoon, another workshop, and then maybe relax, and then we have dinner, and then so one of the days we'll go to the beach. It's the same format for all of the retreats. The information is on the website High Priestess, so HI Priestess GC.com. And then we've got yoga and African dancing. Where do you find these yoga? Like, these yoga retreats don't exist for women in Europe. We see these models in America. We see these models elsewhere. We don't see them in Europe, and especially Black-led. So this teacher, again, is a white woman. She's German. her father's Trinidadian, or her stepfather's Trinidadian, so she grew up in the Caribbean.
Okay.
So, and she's
That's a
got
nice
deep
mix.
connections to
So is
West
this,
Africa.
sorry to interrupt you, hon. Is this a separate, the yoga and African dance, is that a separate retreat to the one in
Yes,
July? When did you say? October and November?
we've got 7 different retreats. 7 different retreats.
Okay, all right. Check out the website for more, just more
Yeah.
information. But just quickly, are they over a weekend? And I see someone's asking, is the October session during the half term? And maybe we should put the website in the comments as well. But are they over a 2-3 day period or a week period?
They generally start on a
Okay.
Saturday, so most of them start on a Saturday and they finish on a Thursday. So for those
Nice.
people that are working, you can take
Yeah.
the long weekend and you've got the 2 days in between of the weekend.
Mhm.
So it shouldn't be too much of an impact on your holidays.
Okay.
So that's the plan.
Okay.
And in the summer holidays, we've got, for example, yoga and capoeira Monday the 16th of August to Saturday because it's during the summer holidays.
Okay, that's
Um, and so let me then move on to, so we've got yoga and African dancing, and our
yes.
dance teacher,
Half
she is very
German, half
embedded
Trinidadian
in,
background. Mm-hmm.
yeah, very embedded in the West African culture, because we can talk about Africa, but Africa's a continent, so let's just make sure that we're clear about that. Africa's a continent with 50 odd countries, each different country with its own different language and culture, so let's
Okay.
just be clear. But she specifically, has honed her skills in terms of West African dances, and
Mm-hmm.
she runs her own retreats in West Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's our African dance teacher. We've got yoga and Spanish. So by profession, I'm a Spanish teacher.
Yes.
Ooh. And I've done
Lovely.
that in Dubai. I've done it in Colombia. Not in
Mm-hmm.
Colombia. I've done it. Don't need it in Colombia. I've done it in the UK and in
Mm-hmm.
Dubai,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So, pues, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal están?
Hey,
Hoy vamos.
I'm sure Tatiana was, I can't remember her surname now, but Tatiana was on the live earlier on. Tatiana is still here. She is from Colombia as well.
Ah, qué bien. ¿De qué
Yes, yes,
parte?
yes. And she loves her yoga as well. You still, Tatiana Garavito. I'm saying it with such a bummy accent. You're still here. Let's see if she pops up afterwards.
Let's
So I'm
see.
sure she can appreciate that even more. But yes, so we've got a lot. So you say 6 or 7 retreats coming up. Check out the
7
website.
retreats.
7
Let me
retreats.
just say, yoga and capoeira, yoga and digital marketing, yoga and African dance,
Mm-hmm.
yoga, Spanish and chakra dance, yoga,
Lovely.
Spanish and chakra dance. And so the Spanish teacher is a Spanish teacher from the mainland Spain. I won't be
Mm-hmm.
teaching Spanish. I could. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to do
That's
everything.
fine.
I've done that as well. When I was in
Yes.
Colombia and I had retreats and I did everything. I was the cook, the cleaner, the yoga teacher, the guide, the translator.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
support. We can't
Yeah.
do it all on our own. Let me
Right.
just reiterate that point. We kill ourselves trying to do everything on our own. Yoga and holistic mental health. So what we've got a mental health specialist from the US,
Mm-hmm.
Ariel, not Ariel, I call it Ariel. She's American.
Lady
She's
in
a clinical therapist.
Ariel is beautiful. She was on a live the other day with you, wasn't she, doing some breathing exercises and speaking about the beauty of breathing techniques and meditation. Did you touch on a little bit of mental health as well? Is that on your page? Did you share it?
Yes, it is on the page. It's on the Insta page. It's not on the
Yeah.
website, but it's on the Insta page and on the YouTube page as well. So we've got those websites specifically for Black women, the yoga and holistic mental health. The exact reason that I've talked about mental health, we need to create these spaces, and we
Yeah.
can't keep on looking to America. We can't keep on looking to the US for the model, for the places, for the safe places, or the Caribbean. We're in Europe. We all
Yes.
can't take 2 weeks off to go to the US to go and do a weekend retreat. I mean, it might be a weekend retreat, but you're taking like a week to get there and a week to get
Yeah.
back. And now with all this
Mhm.
quarantine and all
Yep.
these
I
tests
just
and
about to
everything.
say, yeah, with how things are, wasting half of your time. I want to get into that afterwards, actually. Just keeping a little peripheral eye on COVID regulations, how you're going to work that into the retreat. But I know you've got it all on lock anyway, so we'll speak on that.
So let me just, and then we've also got holistic mental health. So there are 3 dates there for Black women. So there's one in October. I'm not sure whether it falls into the October half term. I know that somebody asked about that. So that's Saturday rather, the 23rd of October to Thursday, the 28th of October. So that's a week long We've also got one in September, so that's Saturday the 25th of September, and also Saturday the 26th of June. And so if they start on a Saturday, they finish on a Thursday.
Okay.
And then there's a single queer high priestess as well, as a black queer woman, always looking for fucking spaces that reflect me. Hard, and then all the things that go in line with what I'm about, what I've done, where I've been. Even smaller, you can imagine that the things just get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So we've got those retreats as well. The breakdown in terms of what the week looks like is on the website.
What do you mean?
So that again.
When you say things get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, as in when you look around, who is like you? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you've got interests, let's talk about the interests. So capoeira, African dance,
yes.
Spanish, chakra dance, mental health. The number of people who are interested in those kind of things is not. So one person might not have all the same interests, but they might be interested in one of those retreats.
That's right.
But it's difficult in a world where we've got so many opportunities and so many few opportunities to really meet people, because we're so disconnected but so connected. So it's about bringing those people together who might like yoga and capoeira, but they don't know many people around them who are the same. Who might like yoga, Spanish and chakra dance, but they don't meet many people in their environment. Because we've got access to so much nowadays, because we know so much about the world, our commonalities are much smaller. Before we would go to the same area, same church, same school. You'd know my family, I'd know your family, and everything would be more or less the same. We wouldn't have all these different interests. But now we've got so many things that we could be interested in, and some of them could be quite random, quite different. But the opportunities to meet people in your local vicinity is very, very small. In your city, in your country. So it's about bringing the people that are interested in these things together in a safe space to practice these things together, to learn, to develop, to laugh, to have fun, to be in a safe environment. And also from the Black perspective, to change the narrative, from a Black plus size teacher perspective, from a Black plus size queer teacher perspective, to change the narrative. When you think about yoga teachers, people just thought yoga teachers, Jane Fonda kind of looking women, or this, that, the other, And so we're changing the narrative slightly. So I don't know if you follow Jessamine Stanley, who's a big advocate just for being real and being herself. We actually met in Dubai, and that was one of the great things about living in Dubai. I'll send you a link to her website afterwards, her Insta page later on. In Dubai, you've got the opportunity to meet people that you would never meet living in Birmingham. It just doesn't happen, because those connections are just they're non-existent in Birmingham, for example. But in Dubai, you can meet famous people. It's just like things just happen like that. So she's a plus size yoga teacher. She's a weed smoker. She's a free person. She's got a big fat rolling belly, and she's like, "This is my belly," and I'm a fucking badass yoga teacher. She's also, just to talk about her a little bit more, I can't remember, polyamorous. So she's got she's got a lover that's got another lover that's got another lover, and so but she's very open about who she is. And so people have lived these kind of lifestyles for years, but everything just had to be like that. But now we can see other people. That's not necessarily my thing, but it could be. And I'm not talking either or, but I'm saying that she's out there as a Black person living her truth. And so what I'm about is creating spaces for people that are interested in these things from a European perspective, from a Black European perspective. And it's important that we have these spaces, and that we don't always look to the US. We don't always look to the Caribbean. We don't always look to Africa. Nothing wrong with those places, but I'm from the UK. I'm from a country that once was part of Europe. So
before we go there, Brexit, Blacksit.
So our journey is very, very different. Our experiences are very, very different. Our opportunities are very, very different. Everything about what we do is very, very different to those other spheres. And it's important that we create those spaces, and that we don't keep on looking to the other to reflect us, because the Black American experience is nothing like our Black British experience. There are similarities and there are overlaps, but we aren't going to, none of us in the fucking UK in the next 10 years are going to become Kamala Harris, the equivalent of Kamala Harris, or the equivalent of a Barack Obama. That shit doesn't happen in Europe, because there's so much fucking racism, there's so much bullshit that goes on. there's so many kind of layers to institutional racism, to so many things that people have to acknowledge. So
yeah. Oh gosh, I was going to say a couple of things then. One thing that popped to my mind is, as you talk about going together as like minds, you don't have to go with a friend. You don't have to wait for people to go to a retreat like yours. You know, you can just make up your mind and say, especially because we don't know which way people are on the way of the fence these days when it comes to COVID. Some people you wouldn't have expected to get caught up in it all are shielding, and you know, much respect to them. Live your life and, you know, protect self and all of that if you find that necessary. And other people are like, what, Babylon now tell me what to do, and you know, doing what they're doing anyway. But you don't need to wait for people. So whereas before you would have, you know, felt a little bit girls tripping and you need to go with company wherever you go, people are waiting for you, and it's going to be a brilliant, safe, non-judgmental space. What else was I going to say?
Just to reiterate, we've got an incredible team. We've got the right people in place. I interviewed all of these people last year. Okay. We've been in contact. We'll be doing taster sessions. We'll continue with the taster sessions so that you can get a feel for who we are and what we're about. Good. And, you know, get an understanding. So we did the capoeira one, and I was like, bloody Laura, I haven't moved my body like this in a long time.
This is what I was thinking earlier on, you know, the real self-exploration. We know yoga is about that as well, and not just, you know, fancy tricks of, you know, on your head top and all of that stuff. Great if you can do that, how far you can extend your legs, all of that stuff. But something like capoeira, especially for someone like even fresh like me, just a deeper exploration of your hips, you know, of your movement, your whole body movement, you know, what feels comfortable, what doesn't. Okay, let's go deeper into that then. Why is that? Is there any stagnated energy, any trauma in those areas? Do you feel a little bit stiff? You know, it's just being thrusted into that environment. Obviously not against your will and forcing anything, but just exploring yourself. So I love that. And
they're complementary. So if you're moving your body in yoga, there are different types of yoga. So you might, I don't teach Ashtanga yoga. That's not mine. And Ashtanga yoga is quite hard and lots of you know, fast movements and so on. Lots of very deep movements. I teach a mixture of hatha yoga, and sometimes I include music and dance in my yoga. So I did that when I did the tasting session quite recently. You know, there'll be opportunities for you to move your body and to free your body up, and so it's not that rigid in terms of, you know, the average yoga classes. Let's do this and let's do that and let's do that and let's do that. My yoga classes aren't like that, but there's a point and a place for everything. And so capoeira is a martial art. So it's a martial art that moves every part of the body. And so it's important that you understand that they're complementary. So one, you'll feel fitter by the end of the holiday. You'll be able to move your body in ways that you might not have been able to move your body in ways before. And it'll give you more flexibility. That's really, really important, because we sit down, we've spent like a year on our arse, you know. And so it's really, really important that we make sure that we can move our bodies, that we can be here for another 50, 60, 70 years for some of us, you know, 80 years for some of us. Yeah. So the reality is, Black people, we die too early. My mother passed away at 59. Wow. She had the opportunity to retire. Okay. And so it's important that we understand these things. Before my mother passed away, I took her to how many funerals of her friends in Birmingham? Too many of her friends' funerals, and they were all the same age, 59, 60, 58, 60, 61, nothing. When we look at our peers, my Asian peers, my white peers, their parents in the 80s, 90s, and, you know, retired, living their lives. Not everybody, but in comparison to what we have to go through, what we have to bear, and the life expectancies, and especially in Europe, and especially from the UK. In other countries in Europe, it might not be the case. But from France, I don't think it's the case, because I've got a good friend who tells me it's not the same. But in Britain, I can tell you, we're either in mental houses or dead. When I say that, I mean like 60 years old and dead, washed up, nothing left. Yeah. That has to change. That has to change. That does have to change. And come on, let's not underestimate the power of vitamin D. Yeah, that sun energy as well. So we have to get it where we can get it. You know, our melanin needs it.
You know,
Need
so
it. We
nothing.
need communities. We've lost
Yeah,
it. We need
you can pick
community.
and choose with these activities when you go on the retreat. I'm not going to force you. If you feel to just be there and you're in the ambience of it, eating good food, you know, and just observing or just doing your own thing, and it's just your own 2 minute break, then that's absolutely fine. I love it. I love the sounds of it. I'm just putting out here from now, 2022. If you decide to do them again, I'm definitely
You're
in. We can speak more
break it
later.
down.
Yep, 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 yep. Definitely.
Good.
All the tribe coming with me. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So the
Um,
venue
mhm,
partner that we've got is Eco Tara. It's a place in the middle of the countryside. So from a perspective of COVID and safety, it's a very, very private place. There's a limitation in terms of the number of people. In Spain, as of last year, May, in Gran Canaria, rather, not the whole of Spain, but in Gran Canaria, as of last year, May, you have to wear masks when you're on the buses. Now we have to wear masks everywhere in public spaces and also in private, not in home spaces, but if you're around a number of people, you have to wear a mask. So, you know, sanitation, out in the countryside, eating natural food, very small number of people, limits the opportunities of contamination. So those things are really, really important.
all right. So we have to bear that in mind as well. There's a certain capacity of number that you're keeping to as well for the retreat for safety. But, you know, obviously you're going to be protected even more so because you're going to be in Mother Nature. So we're out in the open when we're
Out in the
doing
open, fresh air, which is really, really important. Getting your vitamin D in, getting your natural fruit and veg, and some of it's grown on site. A lot of the fruit that they produce at Ecotara, they have their own little mini farm. It's produced on site. The opportunities to be contaminated are limited because we're out in the middle of Mother Nature, in the countryside, practicing in a safe place, following the protocol, wearing a mask when necessary, apart from eating, giving social distance, which is really, really important, limiting the number of people that we have. So,
Mhm.
like, we're making sure that we're safe and everybody's safe at the same time, but
Good.
enjoying ourselves because it's so
Safe
important.
and living up, man. Yeah.
If people haven't understood this year that like you need to live, protect yourself, but also enjoy yourself, then when
Yep.
are you going to learn that? Because that's so important.
Yep.
So important.
And make the most
Life
of
is
what you have.
short.
Like you said,
So
yeah,
many people
life
have
is
dropped
short.
off. So many
Same
people have
here.
dropped off in these last 12 months. So many people dropped off, dropping off, dropped off, dropping off, dropped off, dropping off. We have to look after ourselves. We have to eat good food. We have to be in the right environment. We have to keep the right people around us. We have to
Mhm.
create support networks. So that's my hope is that, for example, the digital marketing, yoga and digital marketing with Chantel, you come and you meet like-minded business women and you're all networking and you're able to maybe
Mhm.
like work on a project together. That's my intention because I know when I've tried to do things, you have to have the right kind of people around you. And if you
You
don't, then
do.
you're doing it on your own. And it's the
Yeah.
burden is so much harder and heavier when you're doing it on your own. But if you can find the right-minded people, the like-minded people, that's how other cultures work. I've got a cousin. Let me put you in contact. Let me put you in contact with X or Y. Let me introduce you to X or Y.
Yep.
We don't work like that because we don't come from that in the West, let's say. So we're doing things on our own, but we need to get back to networking. Let me introduce you to a sister that's doing this, and she can put you in contact with somebody who's doing that. Let me introduce you to an investor who likes what it is that you're doing. Let's rise up together and we
Yes.
blow up together. Like we need
Yes.
to be creating those things, but from a Black, British, Black European perspective. So
Mhm.
important, so
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at because I know every time I've tried to do something, and I'm trying to do so many things now, I look around to my left, to my right. No fucking like, there's nothing there to catch me, to support me, to give me the push, to invest in what I want to invest in. And I don't have the collateral myself, but we need to create those
Yeah. Collectively.
like-minded spaces,
Yeah.
those like-minded people. We need to be coming up together. I'm not just talking about the like, there are so many things that could be said here, but I'm talking about meeting inspirational people, meeting
Yeah.
like-minded people, being uplifted, being in
Yeah.
the right environment,
Mhm.
wanting to create projects together, because that's hopefully what will come out of it. That's how I see
Oh
the
yes.
digital marketing retreat. I want it to be, it's a space just for Black high priestesses and the mental health, but the Black mental health, you will walk away with a toolkit, and maybe you'll find support within each other as well, and walk away with some
Yes.
friendships. Not everybody, it doesn't have to be
Yeah, but
everybody,
it
but when you
sounds
need like
like it.
one person, two people to support each other, then you're not
Mm.
going to feel alone the next time the thing happens, because this is life. We want to keep it like that, but this is life.
Yeah.
And so digital marketing, in my head, that's what I see. Women coming together, Black women coming together, learning more tools, more tricks of how to move their business ideas forward, and then maybe networking, definitely networking, and walking away and maybe working on projects together. That's the ideal, so that we're not having to do all of these things on our own. Go on the retreat, come on the retreat on your own, but walk away with people who see things the way that you do, or have similar interests, which just makes life a lot easier, a lot more fun. And then the next time you do something, maybe you've got some friends that you did it with before. I went, and just very quickly, I went on an Olivia cruise, and Olivia is a lesbian company, and they offer lesbian holidays. And so there are people who go on those lesbian holidays, and they go on all of them, and then they've got like friends upon friends upon friends upon friends, and then they go on the next one, and they're all friends together, and then they go on the next one, and they're just like celebrating life together. And as the pandemic, you see the support networks reaching out to people. Somebody's bike scooter was broken the other day, and everybody clubbed in and like, you know, helped us pay for a replacement. But the point that I'm making is building community, and because our communities are so much more dispersed, I'm on my own in Gran Canaria with no support network. Imagine, and you're probably there with very little support network. Your family's probably very small. Maybe it's big, maybe it's not. I don't know. But we need to create these support networks that, when it's good, we're all together, and when it's bad, we're not on our own.
That's right. You have to give thanks for good company. 100%. And expansion. Yeah. Having that in your mindset, expansion, because we already know from you say it's going to be so, then things will gravitate towards you. So definitely being grateful, and like you said, appreciating what you have. So I do 100%. Thank you to you, Jeanette. And give thanks for Beljazz17 for joining, and Iso Dreddy. There can be only one. Shah is giving us a thumbs up. Thank you very much. And the Chantal that she's speaking about in digital world is not me. I am also called Chantal, aka Shani Pure Reader, but no, big up to Chantal_London. So CHANTEL_LDN. Have I got that right?
I don't think so. I think it's Shan. I'm not too sure of the spelling. I'm not too sure, but I can put it in the link afterwards. And I'll put the website link in there as well in a moment. But yeah, we need to feel supportive. We need to see like-minded people. We need to talk about our business. We need safe spaces to talk about our business. We need to find like-minded people. We need to find the right kind of people, the right kind of energy, the right kind of protection. And when you get it, you don't settle for less. So important. Such a believer of that.
It's coming, and it's surrounding us right now. Give thanks. I want to ask you one more thing though, one last thing. We've already touched on it kind of sort of, but what was it like for you, and what is it still continuing like for you as a Black woman in Gran Canaria? I know you say you're by yourself at the moment, in terms of not seeing much of your people and knowing who to go to when, and who can support you, but making those professional moves in orchestrating this safe space for us. What's the response been like, you know, just from the businesses that you've been reaching out to, and on a day-to-day walking around in Gran Canaria, what's the response like as a Black woman? I know you mentioned they call it Little Africa, or Africa over there. Yeah, Gran Canaria is today. That was interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for not good reasons. So there are different things. One is that hello, my darling. So one is that in the Canary Islands, there's a huge issue at the moment of mass migration. So people coming up on fishing boats from the north coast of Africa on a daily basis. So there's like a huge bone of contention there of people just washing up on the shores, both dead and alive. Let's just keep it real. So there's a lot of xenophobia, there's a lot of racism at the moment, bubbling and brewing. But on that note, what I will say is, like, I was proud to see the government doing two things. One is that they introduced this week, today's Tuesday, or last week, I think they were working over the weekend. They introduced laws to say people that are spreading false propaganda online can't do it anymore. Okay. Which is really, really important, because that's where xenophobia comes from. We're spending all the time online, people propagating bullshit, a story that was 5 years ago, a story that wasn't real, a story, you know. So that's just really that's really, really important. that they're acknowledging that there are things going on and that there are problems and putting things in place to tackle them. Doing a great job. No government anywhere in the world is doing a great job, not even for themselves, never mind for us. So let's keep that real. Let's keep that real. For me, as a black person of Caribbean descent, food-wise, the food is whack. So I have spent all my time baking and cooking and making Caribbean recipes from scratch and loving it because I enjoy cooking. Boring, but love it. So I can't get the things that I'm used to, but I have been up in my kitchen game. So that's another thing here. What ultimately I want here is to have my own land to cultivate. So, and because the climate here is tropical, so it's what they call it a microclimate. So there are different climates in different parts of the island, even though it's quite small. But there are parts of the island where you can grow mangoes, where you can grow papaya, where you can grow bananas, where you can grow avocado, where you can grow all these tropical fruits. And that's what I want. So the ideal place, after traveling and searching the world and looking for the ideal place, I realized that there isn't one. You just got to put your roots down and get on with it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's it. And this place, the sun shines. So let me, I'm just going to show you the bit of what you might want to see.
Wow.
So the sun shines and...
And I just say, in comparison to, even though I have to keep it rainforesty and leafy in my living room. In comparison to,
I know you've got snow in the UK. I know it's not snow there.
Yeah, black bags and bleak graffiti across the road. Big up to the creativity. God knows what that says. But yes, in comparison, so get yourself out in the sunshine.
It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. So it's not ideal. There is nowhere in the world that's ideal. As a black person, as a black British person, as a black British queer person, there is nowhere in the world that's ideal. So we stay put and we build and we make shit happen. That's what it comes down to.
That's right.
The more I've travelled, the more I've realised that the people like me exist, but you've got to create it. You can't expect anybody to give it to you from your breast. We're grown. That doesn't happen. So we've got to create it. We've got to bring the people. We've got to stand still. We've got to put the foundations down, and we've got to bring people to us. Bring the right kind of people to us. That's what I've learned. Yeah. So no longer going to search for it, making it happen. And if you are into authors, I can't remember his name. Alec Baldwin, the American author who went to France. I can't remember his name, but he talked about the fact that there's no community. We have to create it.
That's right.
So this is what you're doing.
Yeah, there is Alec Baldwin. It's cool people talk about it. But okay, I respect Oprah. Huge fan of Oprah for her achievements, but you know things that are going on in the background with Oprah, not 100%. But she does a connection with called is it Super Soul Sunday? Super Soul Sunday. There's a man on there who speaks about community as well. Can't remember his name.
Are you thinking that Beckworth? Michael Beckworth? He's one of hers.
Is he an older man? White hair? Quite slim.
No. He used to have locks. He was on The Secret as well. So maybe we're thinking about different people.
As we're talking about, sometimes colour doesn't come into it. I'm all for black first, melanated first, pro-black, but sometimes it really doesn't matter because it is the soul. But so it's actually a white man, you know. But yeah, I can't remember his name. But anyway, I'll put it in the comments.
James Baldwin, thank you. That's who I was just thinking of. Thank you very much, Jeanette.
Yes. Big up James Baldwin. I know what you mean.
So yeah,
wow.
So yeah, there's lots to say, but it's important that we leave our mark in the world. It's important that we talk our truth. It's important that we put down the cloak as black people that we've been taught that we have to hide everything and we have to keep a stiff upper lip. We've got the worst of the British English culture and the worst of the Caribbean. We don't talk, we don't say anything. We put on our clothes and, you know, we walk out with the welts. No, shit's real. We're going through things. We're going through good and we're going through bad. And we need each other more than ever. We need each other. and we need to build community. And I say that also just to quickly, because I know that we need to finish. My mother, whenever her friends' kids were having a party or a christening, and it used to be the case in Birmingham, you know, everybody, all the elders would get together, the elder women would get together, they would cook the food, they would come together. Because nowadays we've got access to more money, real or not. You pay for it, so there's no coming together of community like there used to be. And we need that to come back. We need to have the elders around us. We need to have the support network around us. We need to be around people like ourselves. We need to be able to laugh and tell our jokes. We need to be understood. We need to feel safe. Don't worry.
Thank you so much for being part of it. And we're wrapping up now anyway. I think we've shared so much. People have definitely got an insight as to the energy that they're going to be in, regardless of whether they choose one out of the 7 or all 7 retreats. So take a look on the website, High Priestess. Yes, and also obviously the page to find out more information about who is going to be leading the sessions and activities, and you know who you're going to be interacting with. But like we said earlier on, don't feel reluctant to go by yourself. Thank you very much. Or with a group, just double check, because there is a capacity maximum. All right, fresh food. I know transfers are included as well.
Transfer, accommodation, we've got shared rooms, we've got single rooms. Obviously the prices are dependent upon whether you want a single room or a shared room, but you're around like-minded people in the sunshine, working on yourself holistically in different ways. And so all 7 retreats could appeal to, you know, one person. All 7 retreats, you could come on all 7 retreats. You could do yoga and capoeira, you could do yoga and digital marketing, yoga and mental health. I mean, do you not need to work on these different areas of yourself?
And the world is moving. Yeah, the world is moving. And yes, there's time to stand still, but it's time to go as well. And I definitely advocate for, you have to tap into the digital world right now. I personally love it because, you know, I can be right here on my table talking to you who's, you know, across the other side of the world. It's great. And still speaking about so many things that connect us together. So I'm loving this at the moment. You know, it's tapping into my skills, and I'm sure other people's as well. So good. I'm sure there's people who haven't even heard of or used Instagram before, but they're getting with it right about now because they need that interaction, want it, and have products to sell, businesses to speak about. And yeah, you have to tap into the digital world. So give thanks for you, Jeanette. Give thanks for you. Looking lovely today.
Thank you, my darling.
Yourself. You're welcome.
Love that conversation. Love the energy. Thank you. Keep it up, sister. One love.
Yes.
So,
thanks.
For me, Jeanette Edmead, the heart and soul behind High Priestess, Gran Canaria, over and out.
Yes. Until next time.
Take care, Shadi. Bye-bye.
All right. Bless up yourself.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, bless. That was lovely. And she's put her ats in the comments as well. Thank you for all who have joined, and definitely Auntie Lane there next year, all being well, 100%. I also want to bring your attention to another Instagram page for people who are based in the UK, Black Women of Birms, BLACKOF BIRMZ, which is short for Birmingham, which is an elevation platform for products, services, organisations that are Black owned, particularly from Black women, but also for the brothers in the community who are doing big things and supporting us, and family owned businesses. So jump in the DMs if you'd like a shout out, and just keep an eye on the page, because there's so much sharings that are going on, and I also do lives on that page as well. This is my personal page today, but most of them take place on Black Women of Birms. And of course we had to embrace the Queen herself, because she is from Birmingham, UK originally. But regardless of where you're from, thank you so much for joining, and I'm over and out as well. So take care of yourselves. Bless up 100 and abundance from me to you. Give thanks.